Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Chromeo record, White Women. These guys are a pop duo known for their vintage flair, embracing the sounds of disco, synth funk, new wave. Chromeo has been doing it for over 10 years at this point. In my opinion, they have a few decent records under their belt, or at least the very good Business Casual. To me, that record and Fancy Footwork are loaded with just top-notch, poppy, sexy, sensual pop songs that have top-notch production that feels modern but also has an extreme attention to detail when capturing a lot of these old-school cues from the eras of music that they are so obviously borrowing from. The lyrics on Chromeo records are typically very flirty, they're hypersexual, they're playful, they're kind of love-struck. But Chromeo usually does a good job of taking these themes and presenting them in a very silly, tongue-in-cheek, kind of self-aware way. So I never quite feel like just totally rolling my eyes at what the band is doing. And typically they never really let this silliness, they never let this excessiveness overshadow their talents as producers and songwriters. Chromeo can pull together some killer singles, Bonafide Lovin' and Don't Turn the Lights On, and Night by Night, which I think is the duo's best song. So I went into this new Chromeo LP excited for a few different reasons. One, the song Jealous, killer single. Two, Business Casual is my favorite record of theirs so far. So, you know, I'm only sitting here assuming that Chromeo is going to continue creating a streak here and just dish out another great LP. And also, on top of those two things, disco, synth funk, these vintage pop sounds, they're making a bit of a comeback right now. And if any group out there is deserving of sitting atop of the wave, this new neo-synth, new ultra, new disco revitalization, it is Chromeo. They've been putting in work on this stuff. However, I don't think that that's going to be happening on this record. I do think there are some good songs here, but nothing I hear that is going to be really a crossover hit for them, breaking them outside of their already pretty passionate fan base. But Chromeo definitely tries. I mean, this for them is a pretty star-studded record. They bring quite a few notable guests into the track list on this thing. I'm just not hearing a whole lot in terms of improvement in production quality, and this is some of the worst Chromeo songwriting I've heard in their 4-album discography. Now, for the most part, the guests they bring onto this LP seem to do a good job. I mean, Toro y Moi, Solange Knowles, Ezra from Vampire Weekend, ASAP Ferg, for whatever reason, appears in the music video for Jealous. And like I said, with Jealous, Chromeo does bring a great single to the table. I love the funky slap bass line, the dance beats, the bright synths, the hard groove. And this song has one of the most addictive choruses of 2014, in my opinion. I get jealous. And the Toro y Moi feature on Come Alive goes over really well. Another great chorus on this LP. And even though I'm not really the biggest Toro fan, he fits in like a glove into Chromeo's sound. Come alive. But outside of these tracks, the highlights on this record, while there are good moments, they tend to run a little mild, not Chromeo's most fiery material. The track with Solange Knowles, who sings really well during her appearance on Lost on the Way Home. Then there is the song Old 45s, which to me, lyrically is kind of like Chromeo's mission statement for their entire career, where essentially you have the chorus saying that if you feel like romance is dead, if you feel like romance is gone, find an old jukebox with old 45s, pop a nickel into it, and this romance, this love in music will come alive. Then there's Hard to Say No, which has a great melody over the chorus and is a nice little piece of synth piano pop that I could hear Billy Joel pulling together back in the 80s. Then there's the very instrumentally lavish Fall Back to You, which has these disco-tinged string sections on the track that sound beautiful. But there are so many tracks on this thing that I cringe at. For one, Frequent Flyer. Melodically and lyrically, one of the worst Chromeo songs. Jet lagged, you must be tired, watch out, you might misfire, anything your heart desires, I want to take you higher. 1, 2, 3, you and me, can you move up my velocity? And there's this Tina Turner style higher that pops in against this chorus. And don't get me wrong, Tina has great songs in her discography, especially during that era in her career, but it does not go over well on this record. To me, tracks like this are as in bad taste as Chromeo gets, and they fail to back these sounds up with a really good song. This continues on the song Sexy Socialite, which I think is another pretty cheap track from Chromeo. Not only is the chorus slightly asinine on this track, but I really don't get the sentiment of the song. It seems like the narrator of the track is stalking this girl who is a sexy socialite who likes to party and have fun and drink and go crazy in public gatherings, whatever. And the narrator is just wishing either she was a different person, or she would change, or she would give him attention, or he could just find a way to get her attention. There's even a bad rap verse toward the end of this track delivered in a very snooty girl voice. You know, if she wants to party, just whatever. If she doesn't pay any attention to you, you know, who cares? It's hardly a song subject. And then there's the song Over Your Shoulder, which seems to be putting itself into this kind of weird white knight role when it comes to winning a woman's heart. It's well-intentioned, but the results are not good. Essentially, the song telling girls, hey, don't be self-conscious about your size and the shape of your butt and your breasts. Don't be buying into this grass is greener mentality. Don't be looking over your shoulder at other women as if every woman on the planet is inherently jealous of the physicality of every other woman walking down the street. He's trying to ease this woman's mind about her physical imperfections, assuring her about them, but also switching these lines out about getting this girl undressed or getting between this girl's thighs. Like, hey, don't be worried, I still want to have sex with you, which makes the song feel kind of sleazy and disingenuous. Then there are other tracks on here like Play the Fool, which just feel incredibly nondescript to me in the greater scheme of Chromeo's songs. And moments like Ezra's interlude, while I love Ezra's voice and it's a nice little piano piece, it doesn't really add anything to the album to me as a whole. It's just a bit of distracting filler from the fact that Chromeo has not drawn up some good songs this time around, so instead we're just going to hit you with a celebrity guest. Of every album in Chromeo's discography, this one is of the most questionable quality. Just a lot of corny lyrics at every turn, weak melodies, just all right production, and just, again, some of Chromeo's most uninteresting songs yet. I'm feeling a light to decent 5 on this thing. Transition, if you've given this LP a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Chromeo, forever.